Hello learners, today we will be discussing the topic practical based counselling. Now what are the objectives of my presentation today? To differentiate between academic counselling and practical based counselling, to familiarize you regarding how to plan a practical based counselling session, to provide you guidelines for the conduction of such a session, to acquaint you with various methods for assessment, formative and summative both, and to also stress upon the importance of monitoring and feedback of counselling sessions. Now what is academic counselling? Academic counselling can be considered an advice, help or support to enable a satisfactory academic progress. Then what is practical counselling and how does it differ from academic counselling? So practical counselling is also academic counselling, but only thing is that there is more focus on the psychomotor skills. You are all going to be academic counselors for various programs which have got practical components. So let us look at what can be the role and responsibilities of you as an academic counselor. You must know how to plan counselling, conduct counselling, test the students and also monitor and revise the training programs. Let us see what are the various steps for planning a counselling session. The first step for planning a counselling session is that you must align the counselling with the outcome objectives of each course. Over here you can see that we have got in the center pyramid the psychomotor domains in the order of complexity from bottom to top. On the left hand side you can see the outcome objectives of a sample practical session or a practical skill. For example, baking a cake, and on the right hand side we have the specific counselling activities that can be performed to achieve the objectives which are written on the left side. So if we have a outcome objective as that the student should be able to bake a cake by following the steps which are demonstrated by the counsellor, this is the lowest level of a psychomotor domain that we want the student to achieve. And so the counselling can be planned in such a way that we do live demonstration and simultaneously ask the students to follow the step to bake a cake. A more complex outcome objective could be to perform steps by memory to bake the cake. This will come under the manipulation psychomotor domain, and under this the steps that can be followed for counselling is to ask the students to repeat the steps as taught how to bake a cake. So first we will demonstrate, we will teach them how the cake can be baked, and then we will ask them now from recall to perform the same activity. A more complex step could be to follow the steps with precision and bake the cake. So we are basically bringing in proficiency among the students, and so we will ask the students to repeat the process with precision or with perfection and evaluate them accordingly. A much higher psychomotor domain objective for articulation could be to customize the cake as per the ingredients provided. In such a situation, we will provide different ingredients which may vary in the quantity, or even the measuring instruments may vary, and we ask the students to bake the cake. The highest level of a psychomotor domain is naturalization, in which we ask the students to create something new. So we can ask them to create a new recipe of a cake with maybe new ingredients or a new process. And so the counselling for this will be that we provide the new ingredients or the equipments and ask the students to bake the cake. So this is how we can align the counselling with whatever outcome objectives we have envisaged for a particular program. Now the step 2 for planning will be to define the competencies as essential, desirable and optional. For any program that we have, we may have, especially for those programs in which we have a mix of students. So when we have students which are varied in their educational qualification, in their experience and in their place of work, we may require certain activities to be desirable, certain activities to be optional and some of them to be compulsory. So for example, if we again take the case of baking a cake, now we get students from all walks of life and of all ages. So we will keep bake a cake with assistance and bake a cake independently as compulsory activities, because our outcome objective is that they should be able to bake a cake independently. We can keep desirable objectives or activities as bake it with precision and also create modifications. We want them to be able to do this, but we are not keeping it compulsory. Compulsory will also be associated with an exit or an evaluation or successfully completing the program. So, for those who are able to do the compulsory components are declared successful, those who are able to do the desirable or are also successful, but those who are not able to do the desirable will not be held back, will not be considered to be failing in their evaluation. And optional will be that should be able to innovate a new recipe. Why we keep certain competencies as optional? Because we want others to be able to learn and excel in a particular skill if they have the capability to. The step 3 for planning will be work out the mode of delivery of counselling. So, there can be 2 modes of delivery of counselling, actually 3. So, one will be face to face hands on training, the second will be online, which we can use various web platforms, and the third one will be a blend of both online and face to face. Let us see how and in what circumstances we should pick up the different types of counselling. So, coming to the online counselling sessions, where do we need online mode? This we may need when there are certain constraints of travel, time, cost, when the person's occupation may be such or the circumstances may be such that constraints are there. Because of these 3 factors, we may need to resort to online counselling even if we do not feel it as the best option. Then also in certain conditions where resources or situations are unavailable. For example, if we do not have live patients for a particular disease, or we do not have situations, for example, a nuclear disaster, we want to teach how to manage a nuclear disaster. So, in such a case we cannot have face to face counselling sessions, and we do need to simulate or create certain animations for preparing an online counselling session. Similarly, the requirements for an online session is there is no basic psychomotor skill that can be taught from the online counselling sessions. We do require students to have some basic skill before which we can build upon their skills for during an online counselling session. Second is that mainly we can hold it for sensitization and not exactly for training them for specific skills, and we cannot expect any proficiency to be achieved through online counselling sessions. The counsellors, however, must be trained not only in their pedagogy but also in technology to be able to deliver the counselling sessions online. Now, the advantages of counselling sessions are that also the recordings can be available. So, the students can access them asynchronously and can access them many number of times, so that they can try to practice those activities or skills and gain proficiency. The disadvantage is that it is dependent upon the internet connectivity and the instruments or the equipments on which they can take these counselling sessions, for example, a desktop, a laptop, mobile or a tablet. Also, there is a poor student interaction because we are not seeing the students. So, we are not able to have a very active interaction. We do not know whether the students are actually actively attending the sessions or only passively there. And then the assessment of the learning skills is not so easy as it is in a face to face counselling session. Now, coming to face counselling session, where is the need for face to face counselling session? We can very nicely teach basic psychomotor skills through the face to face counselling session, but it requires close supervision and we need to have a specific student counselor ratio depending upon the type of skill that we are teaching to the student. And our main aim of face to face counselling session is for gaining proficiency in the student. The requirement, as I already said, is a fixed counselor student ratio and adequate resources should be available. Now, the advantages of a face to face counselling session is that it ensures learning skill under supervision to achieve proficiency, and we can evaluate learning activities that are taking place. The disadvantage is that training on a large scale requires a massive infrastructure and cost, and a monitoring is very much required to ensure quality and effectiveness of the counselling sessions. Now, the step 4 for counselling is that we need to work out infrastructural requirements for conducting counselling. So, these are the methods that we can use for an online counseling session. We can do live streaming of the demonstration, which can be done through the web conferencing platform itself or using YouTube. A case presentation and discussion. The case presentation will be done by the students and discussion will be done by the counselor as well as the peers. Videos can be shown in the class by counselors, and similarly videos can be recorded and presented by the students. Now, the infrastructural requirements for an online counseling, they range from internet connectivity and speed, that should be very good so that we have uninterrupted counseling sessions and it is easily reachable to the students who are taking the sessions. Qualified and trained counselors, as I said, both in pedagogy as well as in technology. Platform for taking the classes should be available and the device for taking the class should be also available with the students. For a face-to-face counseling, we can have various methods, for example, demonstration, we can have group teaching, we can have role play by the students and we can also have practice under supervision by the students. These are the infrastructural requirements of a face-to-face counseling, that is, we can have adequate required resources, qualified and trained counselors. It should encourage uniform curriculum and delivery at all the centers, because they are going to be physical centers and there will be different counselors and different setup where the counseling session is taking place. So, we do need to ensure uniform curriculum, and then the readiness and feasibility of the students to attend the face-to-face counseling sessions. So, now that we have seen all the parameters for a face-to-face counseling and an online counseling session, you must have realized that there are advantages of both type of counseling sessions, and sometimes when we combine these two face-to-face and online sessions, then that is called a blended mode of teaching. That is probably sometimes the best option, because we can combine the advantages of both the modes of training and at the same time we can use the plus points of both the training and also avoid the drawbacks of each kind of training mode. Now, how can we conduct the counseling sessions? These we can do by providing student support and using DDICT method. So, to provide student support, it is very important that we eliminate the student stress or anxiety. We motivate them to complete the practical within the time period and the sessions which have been allotted. We advise the students to follow the steps for conducting practical or experiments as described in the SLM or study material or the guidebook. We also encourage the students to perform the experiment with self-confidence and independently, and in case that they have any doubt, they can always ask the clarifications from the academic counselors. We must provide them a number of visual diagrams, animations, videos and also live demonstrations for their attention to be kept alive and always active. Now, this is the DDICT method for counseling. D stands for demonstration of the task at normal speed, so that the students have clarity regarding how to do, what to do and what are the outcome objectives of the particular demonstration. We should explain what has been done step by step. We should demonstrate it very slowly and we should encourage the student to imitate whatever has been shown to them as face to face or online, whatever is being practiced, and we should coach the students to provide feedback and suggestions for improvement. And last but not the least, it is important to test their learning to ensure that proficiency has been reached or the outcome objectives are being established. Then we come to step 4 for planning, and that is preparing the assessments to evaluate the counseling sessions. Now, for online assessments, we can have both formative and summative, and these competencies could be desirable, essential or optional. Depending upon these, we frame our assessments. So, assessments for online sessions can be done through the Google Forms. We can also do it by various interactions. We can do by reverse demonstrations, by logbooks which will be prepared by the students and submitted, and also through videos which they will prepare and up. Now, as far as the face-to-face method is concerned, again we can have formative or summative assessments, and these can be, for example, presentation by students or interaction, live interactions during the practicals, group discussions in the tutorials, submitted logbooks and also term and examination. Now, let us see the step 5 for planning. 5 step involves developing monitoring and feedback mechanisms. The various feedback mechanisms that can be resorted to are polling, questionnaire, informal discussions, formal interviews and analyzing records. Various stakeholders are used for taking the feedback. These could be students, course planners and developers, implementing institutions and academic counselors. So, summarizing what we have learned today is proper planning makes counseling sessions effective. Orient and provide specific instructions to reach the intended outcomes. Use the DIDECT method for counseling. Choose the appropriate assessment methodology to achieve the outcome objectives of the sessions, and make feedback and monitoring an integral part of the counseling. Thank you.